Oh, here we are. Well, I got a double engine, or a double cat engine load. I'm going to kind of show you guys what's going on. And had a problem with my last memory card, and I'm going to try and work on that and see if I can save some videos off of it. But I bought a new card, so that's probably why you haven't seen me. Anyways, these are oak cradles, and it's like a composite, possibly all glued together to make it a little bit stronger. That's one of what, yeah, that's what it is. They're glued together, pressure fit. A little bit more of a strong type of wooden cradle. I thought they were oak at first, but anyway, they told me don't worry about chains on metal. They have touch-up paint. This is specifically chain direct. Don't do anything else. Okay, so I got that down. And this is just the cat plant in Lafayette, Indiana, has a forwarding place that they use that preps these engines for shipping. So when they get them, they have to build these cradles. So as you can see, it's pretty good size. And they do all the wrapping and everything, you know, as direct as tight. Now I've got a slight direction pull. As you can see, there's not a lot of room, so you have to feed it down and up inside and over. And it's just some single crate. And I put a couple straps on. They were super light, just 200 pounds, but still control. So this one here, you can see the engine itself. It's really pretty cool. So I'm stopped in Georgia. I made it pretty far. I knew I wasn't going to get all the way because it was like 800 miles. Or pretty close, yeah, just might as well say 800. And the way their hours of service are, there's no way that I could get there even today before they close at 3:30 because I'm on Eastern time now. And midnight Mountain time is 2 a.m. Eastern. At a 10-hour break, you're already looking at you know, noon Eastern. You can't drive the extra 300 miles in 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Not going to happen. So I'm going to take my time today. I got to go through Atlanta, Macon, down 16 to Savannah, and pop up 95 just a few miles. So we'll go on with what we're doing here. As you can see, that it's really tight. There's not a lot of room in between these two spots right here. So you have to watch your business like this. Make sure, you know, there's plenty of room behind it so it doesn't touch, because that's a rubber hose. So I had to change this, I had to drop it down a few lengths, and I still had room just at the bottom here. And it's just super tight. Now I tie my chains and knots, have people bitch at me for that, but I don't care. I've had hundreds of thousands of miles. The chains are in knots. They cannot come undone. I don't care. I'm serious. They just can't. That's never happened. So here's the direct chaining again. It's right directly underneath it. As you can see, when you're dropping a chain down and feeding it over, you go to pull it up, sometimes it'll catch on stuff like that. So you just have to get up there and hand feed it to make sure it fits well. It's about 39,000 pounds all total on the load weight. And there really was no place for me to hook and do a double binder grab. So, you know, I'm not driving super fast with these things anyways, but look, you know, these are built this way for stability. For tipping side to side, they extended these way out, so there was like an outrigger effect. So I'm right by I-75. I mean, it's like right there, so it's kind of hard, you know, you get a lot of noise. when you look down here, you'll see everything, you know, it's well inside the line. There's no problems at all, and I just, you know, put a couple of straps on the back here. I'm getting a new trailer, and I'll try and get some shots of that. But what they're doing is they're going to get rid of this one, send it back to manufacturer authorized dealer, and then see why that the deck comes out this way and the top deck goes this way. It's like it's twisted. I'm kind of changing subject here, but you can see it. If you look down the line of the top piece and you compare it with the bottom, it's slightly off. It's been that way since they built it, so it's causing scalloping of the tires. You just lighten up, it's over time, it's just going to cause a scallop, like an alignment issue. And you can see some of that inside wear of that as it tracks weird. And that's, you know, it's nothing that has to do with driver or my tractor. It does cause me a lot of fighting, and I've already lost a set of steer tires over it. I mean, it's killing me. So, plus the side rail issue. They're giving me an earlier one with a standard, just like a normal flatbed rail, that will give me none of this crap. So that to me was just poor design. I've asked so many people about that, and they said, what the heck is that? Well, it just reduces the places that you can put a strap. Sorry, I got sidetracked. You guys knew about my trailer rant before, and you know, Landstar did have one 51-foot trailer in their system. They put a hold on it, said it's yours if you can get down to Alabama to get it. So this load's going to Georgia, and I've got an agent working on next load to go pick it up. So do the best I can. You know, I've got a lot of lumber and tarps to dump, and you know, they're not the greatest shape, but it's what I have. At least if I have to cover a machine, then I've got 130 feet of 6mm visqueen tucked away that I can unroll and do double, triple, quadruple layers, and then use my tarp to keep the wind off of it, you know, to help keep it dry. I just don't tarp that much anymore. It's like, this is not cheap flatbed, tarp everything freight, you know, like they usually do in a lot of those companies. I'm just not going to do that anymore. It's just way too much work, especially if it's 100 degrees in the south. I mean, you're falling out. You can't drink enough water to, you know, to stay squared away. The good thing about the side rail, that I will say some positive items, is that it's all one piece, no welds. That I liked, and this would have been a perfect side rail had they not done the square holes and just left them all, you know, evenly shaped, easy to put a 4-inch strap through, and that kind of thing. So these are cool motors. I mean, when you think of, these are going overseas, so they got to go to a port area, or at least a forwarder takes them to a port. I don't need a TWIC. I checked on that before I booked the load, and everything was good. And he said, no issues, no worries. And also, the shipper says they got cans of touch-up paint, like I was saying, don't worry about it. So, well, I like to verify that stuff. I don't like putting marks on anything. But they said just chain direct. So, and this is coming off a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. I don't have that far to go. They've got it all sealed as best they can. It just came off from up in there. You can see where it was. But all in all, it's been a good load. I mean, it's probably in the, you know, it's a decent pair. It's not a high dollar load at all, and I'm not going to complain about it. It gets me where I need to go. Pays the bills. I had to do the freaking required classes, so I was already in Alabama. Had to book one up into Illinois to get to a terminal to take, you know, class that's required every 3 years. I got all that done, and I couldn't find anything to the Georgia terminal that we have down here. I think we only got 4 places where they offer these classes. So everything else seems to be fine. I just, looking it over, nothing amiss that I can see. I always ask the questions, like any other thing need to be covered, and their reply was, if it needed to be covered, then our job is to make sure that there is weather protection on vital components. And I said, that's the answer I was looking for, because that just releases the driver of that portion of the responsibility to make sure, like there's an electronics board or something like that have a control panel or whatever that might need special consideration. They took care of it. Now, on used equipment, you might have to take something like either a small piece of tarp or some kind of cover and wrap it around, and do your best to do maybe some taping, and then bungee added on there too. I've done that before, just so I didn't have to tarp the whole thing, because it wasn't necessary, but to protect the vital components. Because sometimes tarping will actually cause its own particular type of damage from wind flapping and that type of thing, so we have to be careful. There was specific instructions when you walk into the shipper, and then they said it, absolutely no straps over engine. Well, that's like duh. There's just too much business. You cannot do it. You couldn't put a strap up there without ruining thousands of dollars in something. So, just pay attention. I don't care how long I've been doing this. I asked them, where do you want me to change? And they showed me. I just make sure. I don't feel embarrassed, not a bit. I'd rather not have a question for me. I'd rather know what the heck I'm doing. And even though it was fairly obvious, I wanted to make sure that's what they want. So there's no guesswork. It's just, And getting out last night, I actually got out and looked too, because a lot of this was kind of dark. And, even you guys that's been out here a long ass time, you know how to do it. Get out of the truck, or at least give it a look-see and whatever, a walk-through of what's going on. Because, when you're backing into a dark hole, some of these holes are going to feel awful funny when your trailer does a bounce. So that's mostly what it was. It was slightly uphill, so you had to push it. And when you got in here to these holes where these trailers sit on the pavement where it was hot, a lot of weight on it, and it just sit there and sink in. So, but I was a long ways off from the curb. That's mostly because of this angle parking. When you think about, dang, I can see on my side, but on this side, depth perception in the dark is very difficult. So you almost have to touch your brakes to illuminate the area, and then look for the shadow close up. And when I see it getting close, that's when I stop. And that way you can accommodate for depth perception at night. And that left me at least, 24, 30 inches away from obstruction, because you don't want to go hitting concrete with a DOT bunker. So that's just another tip. Everything else is good. I'm going to go over the truck here in a little while. I'm going to check all my light bulbs and stuff. And I've hit a lot of rough road, and some of the little marker lamps and stuff, they can come loose. It's happened before, so I try and always remember that, not get too much in a hurry or get too tired or anything like that, and make sure that I'm going to go check them on my VI and go through every lamp that I can. So I've been looking at ideas and changing my headache rack, because this is a mess. These are old tarps. They had a lot of miles on them, but they still can cover some freight. I don't mind carrying all this extra lumber and V-boards and everything like that. That's been pretty much multi-purpose. But it just depends on the kind of freight you haul and how much stuff you're going to carry. But I'm a bit of a hoarder, but if I see good lumber and some of it's hardwood, I try and hang on to it, and I'll keep it chained down so it's safe. But if I've had to use a lot of that, and I've had to break out sometimes as many as 12 4x4s for some loads. It's just amazing. A customer didn't have any. They're going to charge you $5 a piece. Well, I got the $60 savings right here. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but oh well. But I'm looking at adding some kind of rack or something, and maybe get my tarps, take them out, refold, roll them up a little bit different dimension, and then line them up. I'm looking at that possibility, and I might do more of a lumber rack up top to get some of that top deck clear. But you know, that's a pretty basic headache rack. So what can I say? Well, I've jawed long enough. You guys can see the double cat engine load. The scaling on this was perfect. I mean, each axle around 16 each over here. And I think I was at 28, 29 on my drives, and that was with less than a half tank of fuel. So I had tons of room. There was no issue. It's really good and stable, even though it's sitting up really super high like that. I mean, not super high, but high enough to where it could cause a, you know, still a tip issue. You got to watch your corners. You know, don't let anything sneak up on you. Anticipate your braking and get way down, and that's just the way it is. You know, you can't go into a hot corner with a load like this. It just ain't gonna happen. You got to be ready, and that's where trip planning comes in. Looking way the hell ahead and figuring out what's going on. They had a lot of really stupid construction last night with a lot of pitch and roll and all kinds of garbage. That's why you're always worried about your chains. You end up checking them at least 2 times a day, maybe 3, and I think I did 4. So minimum a couple of times, like in the first 50 miles, you know, 75 miles, if you pull into a rest area, give them a little check. That's cool. Because they might just slip just like half length, or just might settle in, and then you're going to be just slightly loose. So you want to make sure you take up that slack. Don't overstretch them. Just take up the slack. I ended up checking mine like 4 times because I was in such weird ass, you know, traffic situations and traffic patterns. So that's about it. See you on the road.